Good evening, I'm Haley Wilgus. Thank you for joining us tonight. Football Friday night starts in just 15 minutes, but first we're going to get right over to ABC7 Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, who has our first alert weather forecast. Bob, we've been experiencing some heavy storms, still hearing the thunder out there.
Yeah, and more building too in the Gulf of Mexico. A trough of low pressure moving in from the west continues to generate showers and storms. We already had up to 3 inches of rainfall into Manatee County. We'll show you that in a minute. You can see that long line of showers and storms extending all the way in the Gulf for some over 100 miles now. It's all streaming to the northeast, and we're right in the path. We just noticed this area right here kind of explode just in the past half hour to the west and west of Anna Maria Island now. It's moving to the northeast. As I mentioned, the heavy rainfall has been moving in, and it's lessening up somewhat, but still pretty heavy along I-75 and 275. Lesser amounts now in Bradenton, but earlier today, boy, the storms were heavy there. There's that area we're kind of concerned about showing up on some bright white there as far as the lightning goes, and also some very heavy rainfall. Rainfall rates up to 2.5 to 3 inches an hour. I mentioned that one swath right there from Longbow Key through Bayshore Gardens, which was inundated with rainfall last week, and so the ground very saturated, causing the possibility of flooding problems throughout this area. 301 near Samoset, just estimated 3 inches of rainfall just within the last hour or so, and it came down fairly heavy. And you can see that long line of showers exists all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico for over 150 miles. So more storms in the forecast, and we'll have an update on Irma too. It is losing a little strength, but not expected to drop below too much more. We'll have much more of that and the path coming up in a few minutes. Haley?
Thank you, Bob. Ongoing rescues today in parts of East Texas where the water is still rising in some areas. FEMA says more than 100,000 people have already been approved for federal assistance. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez is in Bel Air, which is just in the Houston area, with the latest on the devastating impact of Hurricane Harvey.
Beaumont buried, dealing with a double dose of water troubles. The flooding still stranding people in their homes, and the water system paralyzed, nothing flowing into faucets in most parts of the city. The desperation leading to nearly 4-hour-long lines just to pick up bottled water. The ongoing problems forcing the evacuation of every shelter there. Families loaded onto military planes flown to Dallas and San Antonio.
We underestimated it. We didn't thought it was going to be this devastating.
In hard-hit Houston, new calls for evacuations in some inundated neighborhoods.
Things are not going to change over the next 10 to 15 days.
At that flooded chemical plant in Crosby, fire erupting again today. Flames shooting at least 100 feet into the air. Those giant plumes of black smoke visible for miles. The EPA says it's safest to just let the flames burn out. First responders are just outside the evacuation zone on standby. And in East Texas, communities now drying out. Families returning home, starting to clear out their soaked belongings.
Everything we own, it's gone, but it's okay.
And some uninvited guests, including this monstrous 11-foot gator.
Looked at it and asked me, "Is that thing real?" And I said, "Yes."
Finally captured and carried away.
Those brave guys say they're getting a lot of calls like that about other animals. It's just one more challenge as people start making their way back to the more than 185,000 homes in this state that were damaged or destroyed. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Bel Air, Texas.
Governor Scott announced today that a special election will be held for the State House of Representatives District 72 seat. After Alex Miller's resignation last week, the seat needs to be filled for the remainder of the term. If a special primary is required, it will take place Tuesday, December 5th. The special general election will be Tuesday, February 13th, 2018. Only voters residing within State House District 72 will be eligible to vote in these elections. A Florida man convicted of killing two people more than 30 years ago is scheduled to be executed for the third time. Governor Scott signed a death warrant today for Michael Ray Lambrix. Lambrix was convicted of killing 2 people in 1983. He was scheduled to be executed last year, but it was delayed after a U.S. Supreme Court decision found the state's death penalty law unconstitutional. State legislators have changed the law twice since then. This newly scheduled execution is now set for October 5th. Make sure to be alert while pumping gas this Labor Day weekend. The Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services has found and removed 382 credit card skimmers from gas pumps so far this year. Commissioner Adam Putnam says you can follow these guidelines to avoid skimmers at gas stations. pay in cash inside the store. That's the safest way. If not, check to make sure that the gas pump dispenser is closed and has not been tampered with. Use a gas pump closer to the front of the store. Thieves often place skimmers at the gas pumps that are farther away from the store. Use a credit card instead of a debit card because credit cards have better fraud protection. And if you are using a debit card, choose to run it as a credit instead of entering your PIN number. That way your PIN stays safe. This Saturday, September 2nd, will be a license-free saltwater fishing day throughout the state of Florida. It's one of 8 days offered each year that allows locals and visitors to fish without a license. This year's Gulf recreational red snapper and gray triggerfish seasons will also be open on Labor Day weekend. All bag limits, closed areas, and size restrictions still apply for these dates. Bob will be back with your full weather forecast and an update on these storms after this.
It's rainy season on the Suncoast. Storms can pop up at a moment's notice. Sometimes it's just rain. Sometimes it's much worse. When there's the potential for severe weather, you need to know fast. Trust ABC 7 First Alert Weather to get you the information you need right away. We focus on the storms that impact where you live, and we're committed to alerting you with important information as soon as we get it. When severe weather strikes, trust ABC 7 First Alert Weather. We're here for you.
There's never been a better time to call California Closets. Now during our autumn upgrade event, save up to 20% when you upgrade to an Italian-inspired wood grain finish. Contact us for your free design consultation today. Visit our showroom or online at californiaclosets.com.
Since 1972, Sleep King has provided quality mattresses and accessories at the best discounted prices available. Top brands like Simmons, Sealy, Serta, Beautyrest, iComfort, and more. With available free delivery, free financing, and free setup and removal. For a comfortable night's sleep with same-day delivery, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Trust Sleep King of Sarasota. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
ABC 7 News at 7, weeknights.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
There's never been a better time to call California Closets. Now during our autumn upgrade event, save up to 20% when you upgrade to an Italian-inspired wood grain finish. Contact us for your free design consultation today. Visit our showroom or online at californiaclosets.com.
Now your ABC 7 First Alert Weather Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Well, I was out of Music on Main. It stayed away from there most of the night, and we had just a few sprinkles there right around 9 o'clock, and then everything kind of let loose as a result of the heat of the day. We have a trough of low pressure in the East Gulf of Mexico right now, something left behind from Harvey, and that continues to be the focal point of the showers and storms developing. You can see another line of heavy rain developing just to the west of Anna Maria, approaching Anna Maria right now. Some lightning strikes out there. We had rainfall rates up to almost 3 inches an hour with that particular cell. Right now it's rather light across Longboat Key through Bayshore Gardens, Braden, and Palmetto at this time. However, getting the reports on social media that there is flooding taking place on 14th Street, again near Bradenton as a result of the heavy rainfall that moved through earlier. Rainfall rate with this particular cell up to 2 inches an hour. These are moving off to the east-northeast at 10 to 15, so expect some ponding of the water on the roadways. Not as much in South Sarasota County at this time, but notice the showers are kind of lined up in the Gulf of Mexico along that trough of low pressure, so this could be a factor through the overnight hours and tomorrow morning. Right now the highest estimate is 3 inches just over that, just south of Bradenton near Onico. Well, you can see the explosion of storms here. We'll have to keep an eye on it. It could cause some problems on Saturday as it's moving to the east right now. 75 degrees at the Sarasota Bradenton Airport. The dew point the same, 100% on the humidity, and showers are in progress. The high today was 92, above average, and the low this morning was 1 degree above average. It's cooled down now after a high today into the low 90s. In fact, across the area, temperatures are much cooler as a result of the rain that has moved on in. Showers and storms scattered about tomorrow. We'll see high temperatures into the upper 80s to low 90s, although this particular model does not depict that. We will see highs in the 90s. As far as the tracker goes with Irma, no big changes with the exception of the winds. They've come down just a little bit, but still a major hurricane. Expected to stay a major hurricane through its life cycle. And each successive run, we start to see this bend a little bit more so to the northwest each time, which is good news for the islands. It could be anywhere inside this cone. And this is, again, Wednesday, and it looks as though we will see this bend off toward the northwest. The further north it goes, the better off we are here in Florida. There's still a lot of uncertainty as to where it will go and say day 8, 9, and 10, but that remains to be seen down the road. So just keep an eye on it. It's better news for the islands, though, as it's starting to trend a little bit more so to the north and west of the islands at this point. Southeast winds turn to the southwest at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be 1 to 2 feet with a light chop out there. Showers and storms will create some higher seas, though, so keep an eye on those in some isolated areas. The next tide, a low tide at 4:39 and sunset at 7:50. Isolated storms continuing throughout the evening, actually widespread storms, and the extended forecast does call for showers and storms for the next 7 days, all the way through Friday, anywhere from a 40 to 60% chance. Labor Day at 40%. We'll be right back after this.
At Tidewell Hospice, we know it's never too late to say thank you to our military veterans. The Tidewell Honors Veterans Program has provided care to more than 13,000 military families since 2008. Tidewell volunteers help honor veterans through special pinning ceremonies that demonstrate our appreciation for the freedom our veterans fought to defend. If you know a veteran who can benefit from end-of-life care, call or visit tidewell.org today. Tidewell Hospice. It's more than you think.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
For thousands of people living in shelters, the destruction from Harvey has been exhausting, emotionally too. A charity group who started a comfort dog program after Hurricane Katrina is now headed to Houston. The pets are traveling to a shelter for Harvey survivors while the others are hanging out with emergency responders. Organizers say these emotional support dogs can provide a significant part of the healing process. Of course, when you're ever around a beautiful dog like this, a kind dog, well-behaved, look at how calm they are. They really help you feel calm and just kind of forget about everything else that's going on. So, wonderful group there.
There were a few out there at Lakewood Ranch, too, very calming dogs out there. It was a great time.
Some good music out there, too.
Yeah, good music.
Yeah. Football Friday night starts right now.